boys and girls, students of Buddhist Sunday School, parents and grandparents, teachers of Buddhist Sunday School, and all who are watching the presentation. May you all be well, happy, and peaceful. We are going to have a presentation of a moral story entitled The Magic Pot. A moral story for the young. This story has very good life lessons or moral lessons that can help you to live a more peaceful and wise life. Now, the presentation has a total of 13 slides, and the texts are in English and Malay, but the narration will be in English. Now, as usual, we are going to launch the PowerPoint, and then I will go over the slides so that you can follow the story much better. Now, let us now launch the PowerPoint. Okay, slideshow. So we are going to start from the beginning. You see the cover slide. Now let me take off my video. So stop the video here. Now let us look at this cover slide first. Now, you are now screen sharing. Okay. Now, as you can see, there's this farmer actually in India, and certain things have happened to him, very strange. Of course, this is just a story. And we are going to follow the story through. Now, let us now move on to the start of the story. Once upon a time, there lived a farmer in a village. He used to go to his farm daily and do his farming work. One day, he was digging in the farm to prepare it to sow the seeds for the coming monsoon. All of a sudden, he found a big pot in the farm. Now, so this tells the story of a farmer in a kampung, in a village, and he actually worked very hard, a very good, honest farmer. Now we can see the picture to show the setting. And every day he would go to his farm and do the work. So, he would prepare the farm to dig the soil, to loosen it so that he can plant the seeds for the coming monsoon. Actually, in India also, you have that rainy season. So he has to do it before the rainy season comes. So the seeds are planted, and then one day he can harvest the crops like paddy or some other types of crops. Now, one day, very strange, as he was digging the soil, he found there was a big pot, periuk, tanam, buried in the soil, So it was very, very strange to find a big pot in the farm. This agricultural area. So now, what actually is the big pot? So let us go on to slide number 3. So slide number 3, he took the pot out and he wondered what that pot would be useful for. So it was just an empty pot. So he was very curious. He took it out. Well, it was empty. So he was just thinking, what could he use the pot for? To contain water or to contain some food items like paddy and so on? Anyway, so he just kept the pot aside. And then he started his usual work again to, dig, or we can say in a way, some plowing of the soil to loosen the soil to get ready to plant the seeds. Now, soon lunchtime came. So when it was time for lunchtime, he wanted to take a rest. So during the lunchtime, he kept his spade in that pot while he was eating. And you could see that, right? So he was just preparing to eat his lunch lah. So he just left the pot aside. Well, he didn't pay attention to it lah because he was eating. But after finishing his lunch, he wanted to take his spade to start the work again. And then, he saw to his great surprise that the single spade that he had put into the pot had multiplied until there were 50 spades in that pot already. Right? So from one spade, the thing multiplied into 50 spades. Magic, isn't it? Of course, this is a story lah. Very interesting story. So, what would happen then? Could he do something? So you want to see what the next slide is. So let us now move on to slide number 4. That's right, slide number 4. So this man was really surprised. The farmer, a very simple, honest, nice farmer, he was very surprised, He never had seen something like this. So he thought to himself, oh, I did not bring 50 spades. I just brought only one spade. How come one spade has become 50 spades? I don't understand. Then he thought, this must be something to do with the pot. Must be something to do with the pot. So let me do something. So he wanted to sort of carry out an experiment to investigate. Right? Now, of course, I just put in a picture of a pot, an image of a pot. And then this is the spade. I think you would know what the spade is to dig the soil. So then, you know what he did? He removed the 50 spades from the pot. You could see here, the 50 spades are all stuck into the big pot, right? So he took out all the spades. So now the pot was empty already, right? Was empty. So he wanted to try an experiment, to find out more about the pot. So what did he do? So now we have to go on to slide number 5 now. Slide number 5. So he then picked up a stone, because he look around and nearby, he picked a stone which was quite near him. And then he put that stone in that pot. Right? Put it. Then, wow, when he looked inside the pot, instead of just that single stone that he had put in, there were now 50 stones in the pot. The single stone had multiplied, just as the spade had multiplied into 50 spades. Now the one stone had multiplied into 50 stones. Wow, you see, then he realized, wow, this was no ordinary pot. It was a magical pot, he realized. So he was a simple man, honest, right? So he said, well, I found it. We did not belong to anybody. So I have to bring it back. So he brought that pot back home. And since it was a magical pot, he kept it in a log cupboard. And you can see the log cupboard. These three pictures connected with what we described just now lah. I put one stone inside and then he multiply into 50. So then he carried the pot back home and put it in the log cupboard. So you'll be wondering what will happen next now, isn't it? Now, of course, we don't have the time to read the Bahasa Malaysia version or the Malay version. So we are concentrating on the English. So this is something very, very strange. Of course, you have read many fairy tales and even, San Kancil stories and legends, mythologies, and so on. Also, very magical things. I used to read these magic stories when I was young. Was very interesting, right? But here, actually, you can see later on, we are going to learn some life lessons from this story of the magic pot. Now let us move on into slide number 6 now. Slide number 6. So now this nice, honest farmer had the pot, isn't it? So what did he use the pot? He knew that the pot was a magical pot. Whatever item that you put in would be multiplied 50 times. But he was not a greedy person. I think most people would think, wow, I just put in some money and then you will multiply 50 times. Then I put in more again and you will multiply. Wow, I will become very rich. Then if I have a gold ring, I put in one gold ring, I will get 50 gold rings. If I have one diamond stone and put in. But he was not like that, right? He was a very simple man, very peaceful, contented. So he just used the pot to help him in his living lah, because he was working very hard as a farmer, so to meet his needs lah. The story did not say about his family, his wife and children, right? But anyway, what is important is that he was a very nice, simple, honest person. He used the pot just to meet his needs for his simple life lah, whatever he needed. What are the basic things a person would need? Clothing, right? And then food, most important, clothing and food. These are among the things. We don't really need all those luxurious things like a mobile phone or things like that. During that time, it was very, very simple, isn't it? But even that time, there were very many greedy people that have posted stories about greedy people in ancient times. Right? Remember about the goose that laid the golden egg? So the lady was so very greedy, not satisfied with one golden egg or silver egg also. So I can't remember. So in the end, what he done? She cut was it the chicken? Yeah, he cut the chicken, hoping to find more silver or golden eggs inside and then kill it. You see, there's greed lah. But this person was simple. So he said, actually now I need a new piece of clothing. Maybe he needed a dress, like for example, I'm shown a picture like a dress. So then he look around and you could find a piece of cloth, right? So he put the piece of cloth into the pot and wow, that small piece of cloth multiply into 50 pieces, more already. Then of course, maybe you could join them together or stitch them together, things like that. Anyway, the principle is that, the small piece of cloth multiply into 50 pieces. Oh, we could be also multiply into 50 pieces all joined up already also. We don't know lah, but anyway, it was fantastic, isn't it? And then whenever he was hungry, most of the times he will put in just a fruit lah. A fruit maybe he could get from his farm, an apple, or maybe a guava, or whatever lah, or papaya even. There are different types of fruits there also lah, right? And then, he will get 50 fruits back from the pot. Imagine if you were to put in one mango, and then that one mango will become 50 mangoes. Wow. Fantastic, isn't it? Right? So he was very satisfied. He could eat some of the mangoes already. Maybe he also could put in some other items. Maybe he put in a little bit of rice. Then he could get more rice so that he did not have to buy so much. Huh? Or he did not have to buy the rice. So anyway, so it really helped him, isn't it? But he was a kind-hearted person. He knew that he could get a lot of this, this food and so on. So he had a very kind heart. So let's see what he did. Let's move on to slide number 7. Now this shows just the single fruit multiply into maybe many apples or maybe mangoes or whatever. So because he got extra already, isn't it, right? So he will give some of the things he got to his friends and also the poor people. And still there will be extra left, isn't it? Especially like fruits. Or even let's say you were to put in one small loaf of bread, then will become 50 loaves. So you could, give to the friends or could give to the poor people, and then still got extra, and you will go to the market to sell the extra. So in this way, you could get some money lah. So he became more rich already compared to last time. He was so poor and struggling, you see. But that farmer was very honest. Right? He was not greedy. He never used the magic of the pot for satisfying his greed. In most cases, people would use this magic pot, maybe to get more gold, more money, and then build a big house, isn't it? But he was not like that. It's just the basic things, and then will help other people and sell the extra also. So he was not a greedy farmer. So, however, something is going to happen. However, one day his neighbor noticed that this farmer was getting richer. This was the jealous neighbor. I put in the picture there. All right. And he noticed that, the farmer now, could dress in more beautiful clothes, richer clothes already. And then also, he could have the food to help the poor also. How could he manage? He was very curious. So in a way, he was jealous. This was not a good person, a jealous neighbor. So he was wondering. But this man was a simple man, very helpful, compassionate. So he was very peaceful in his living. This symbol shows giving, right? So giving things to other people, like food and all those things. So now, what would the neighbor who was actually a greedy person, a jealous person, and in a way, as the story said, a wicked person also. So what would he do? So let us go on to slide number 7. Slide number 7. So the neighbor, Kipochi type lah, he was very curious. He said, I have to find out. So he tried to find out the secret of the farmer getting richer. He was not really like a millionaire or something like that, but he was richer compared to last time when he was struggling as a poor farmer, isn't it? Now he got better clothes. Then he was quite satisfied. And extra food also he would give to the poor, and then also could sell some of the extra food or items, maybe for improving the household items. Maybe for the children or the wife, but the story did not mention about the children. So one day, the farmer's neighbor came to his house, stood outside his window, and started to peep into the house of this farmer. The farmer probably was either working or maybe he was another part of the house. So he probably was working, he was not in, but the window was there, open. Then he peeped inside to find out about the pot. But actually the farmer was in. The farmer was in. But the farmer did not realize that there was a person peeping through the window. Right? So he was peeping to see what the farmer was doing. And so happened that during this time, the farmer was putting a little milk into the magic pot. Here you could see, maybe he put in just a few spoonfuls, a little milk lah. And behold, right? Later on, the little milk became 50 times more than the original volume of the milk that the farmer had put in. And then you were to repeat this, wow, you will get a lot of milk, isn't it? Now, each time you put in maybe a few spoonfuls, you multiply 50 times. Then after that, you put in another few, wow, you get virtually unlimited. But he actually did it a few times to get sufficient milk to take, and then also to help other people. Extra, maybe he could sell. So this neighbor, wow, saw all the magical happening, So he saw what happened. Then he could understand, and some bad thoughts enter the mind. Let's see. So the neighbor thought to himself, now I understand. I see. This magic pot is making the farmer richer and richer, getting what he wants. So this was a wicked neighbor, full of jealousy. He wouldn't want to help other people. He wanted more for himself. This wicked neighbor, jealous of the farmer, he formed a bad intention. He decided to steal this pot from this farmer, right? So he had the intention to steal. So stealing is a wrong action, isn't it? So he formed it in the mind first, the intention to steal. So he had to wait for the night. Actually, the picture is not clear that he was coming in the night already, right? He was coming in the night. And the farmer was asleep already. So he went inside the house. He broke into the farmer's house like a burglar lah. You could say a thief lah. And then, of course, he came all prepared with the tools. He also probably saw that the farmer later on kept the pot in the cupboard, the locked cupboard, but he could use the tool and break the cupboard door. Right? The farmer was asleep. Maybe he was asleep in the bedroom lah. This one was another part of the house lah. So he stole the magic pot lah. There you could see. This is the lousy neighbor, wicked neighbor. I stole the big pot. It was at night. So then he brought the thing back. Because he was having all those fantastic intention, right? He could become a millionaire, he could get so many things that he wanted and so on. So the mind was filled with greed, and he had done a wrong action, stealing. So let us see what happens next by going to slide number 10 now. All right? That is slide number 10. Yes. So this neighbor took the magic pot back to his own house. And he was very curious. The wicked neighbor was very eager to find out the secret working of the magic pot. Right? He was very, very curious. You see, what is this thing all about? Right? So he thought there must be something inside the pot that caused the magical thing to happen. So he wanted to find out if there was anything inside the magic pot. So what did he do? He put his hand into the pot, but obviously there was nothing in the pot. There was nothing in the pot. And to his great shock, when he took out his hand from the pot, he realized that now he had 50 hands attached to his body. You could see the picture here, right? So he was wondering, this show his working of the mind, what he wanted to do, right? So when he put the hand into the pot, wow, something happened which was terrible, right? And what happened? When he took it out, his one hand multiply into 50 hands, Of course, the 50 hands got to be attached to the arm, right? Right. So the hands are attached to the arm. So growing from one side of the body, he now had 50 hands. But the other side, he didn't put the hand into the pot, so it was normal. So now you can see, very weird, isn't it? Right? One side, here in this case here, you could see that it was the right hand that he put inside. Right? So the left hand remained normal, but the right hand now multiplied to 50 already and attached to his body. It couldn't come out already. Or he couldn't change it back into one. Wow, you really panicked because there was no way where you could restore the original condition. Sometimes you wonder, because he stole something, so he do something not good, something bad, so something not nice can happen to you. That's a very important lesson. So, wow, he was very troubled. Was he happy? He couldn't be happy now because you look at this weird 50 hands. Imagine you have one side 50 hands, the other side one hand. You like a monster. You like an alien. Makhluk asing. So he was really very scared, unhappy, disturbed. What to do? What to do? Really? So if he were to seek help, then all will find out that he stole something from somebody else, isn't it? So what to do? He had to live with it for the moment, right? So let us now go on to the story to see what would happen. All right. Now we go on to number 11. So now he was really scared already because he did not know how to make his 50 hands on one side of his body go back to one normal hand again. Now you could see here, so he was wondering what he should do. Now you might think, well, maybe put the hands inside again. Wow, you put two hands inside, then you become another 100. One hand will become 50. So two hands will become another 100. So imagine you'll be carrying how many hands. So he did not do that, right? So he just couldn't figure out how to get back one normal hand again. And it was a really terrible situation. He also knew that it looked weird and awful. You see, if you were to be like that, you'll be very scared and then also very unhappy. So he forgot about all the things that he could get from the pot. He was just concerned about his look. But still, he had to go out of the house, isn't it? You cannot be staying in the house all the while. Huh? Like during the COVID-19, where most people, had to stay in for a long period. And some became very, very stressed, right? Because they're not used to staying all so long in the house, got to go out. Most people are like that, right? So the next day, he had to get out of his house. And then there were the people in the village, you could see the second picture here, right? The people in the village. And they saw him. He's not a bit small, but you could see that as he was walking around, the right hand multiplied to 50, isn't it? That's correct. The right hand, so you're walking. So people saw this person. They knew who he was because they were of the same village. When they saw him, they were very scared of the sight, the people seeing him. This one not very accurate, this one, this picture. It should be the right-hand side. But anyway, no, actually this person is not the neighbor because of his dress. So he was one of the people who saw. It's not shown somewhere. So the people all very, very scared. So this was not the neighbor. The neighbor's dress like that one, green in color. So this person, together with others, seeing the greedy neighbor, the thief, isn't it? Because he stole something from the honest farmer, isn't it? So, wow, you could see the people all were very, very scared of this. So they were wondering after to see what will happen. Uh, so he say, if you were to read it, you find that the next day, when he came out of his house, the people who saw him were really scared at the sight. And you know what did they think? They thought that he was some kind of demon. Now, you know what is the demon? Demon is like a devil. Hokkien, they say it's a 妖怪,妖姬. They call it the demons or the demigods. And these demons are supposed to be very hot-tempered, aggressive, violent, could kill. So a demon very easily translate. I mean, many people will consider a demon a devil. The devil. Yo, they say this one must be a demon. With so many hands on one side of the body, but one hand on the other side. So they were very, very scared, but at the same time, they were not happy to have him in the village. Right? They were not happy. The other villagers, right? Of course, they were scared, but then there were many of them, isn't it? He was one only. So they consider him to be I can say an alien. Or here you use the word demon. I can also say that he's an alien. But actually, it's like a demon. They thought he was a, but actually he was not. He was an ordinary man, but because right of the consequence of stealing. So that's why he turned out into a very, very weird looking person. So, what is going to happen now? What is going to happen now? Can you guess? Uh, so you have to move on to the next slide in order to follow the story through. Before we come to the last slide, which is the most important slide that tells about the life lessons, all right, and the Dharma. Now go on to slide number 12 now. So you could see here. Now let's look at the picture here. You see, so of course there were many villagers that came along and the villagers did not like this person whom they consider as a demon. So they started to throw stones at him, stoning him, maybe they wanted to kill him also because they consider him a demon, the devil. Because he could not fight them, the villagers, he was one, but there were so many, maybe 20, 30, 40 villagers all came out. So when they started throwing stone at this person, right, with 50 hands on one side of the body, what did he do? He had no choice. He had to run away because they could kill him. After throwing stones, they could use the other weapons that they had. Maybe most of them were farmers. They had chankos, they had spades, they have other tools. Could use those tools and kill knives and so on. So he was afraid. So he was driven away from the village. But the honest farmer, hearing the commotion and all the shouting and things like that, so he also came out of his house and he saw all this happening. So he saw this man whom he recognized as his neighbor having 50 hands on one side of the body. Then he knew already. He realized he knew what happened. He knew that the neighbor must have stolen the pot from him already. Maybe he did not check yet because he was a simple person. He also didn't go and check that the cupboard was broken in two and stolen already, isn't it? Because next morning already, so he hadn't really he hadn't done the thing of checking because he was not the The greedy type of life. The honest fella just go about, his simple life. And then when he needed food, he would just use that one to multiply a single item like that. Only that's all. Then he was thinking to himself, you know. So this honest farmer, quite smart. He was a smart, simple person, but he had a goodness in him. He said, oh, he must have put his hands into it. Right? So this also went away already. So the farmer claimed his pot back. He could enter into the house and saw really the pot was in his house, actually, in the neighbor's house. So he got back his pot. He got back his pot, he never misused it, he used it in the usual way. And according to this story, like a fairy tale, the honest farmer lived peacefully ever after. Actually, it could have been the honest farmer and his family live happily ever after, just like a fairy tale. What happened to the wicked neighbor? He couldn't go back to the village. So he had to wander around, right? He did not, the story ended like that lah. Did not tell more about the wicked neighbor, but he could deduce that he had to live a miserable life, shunned by all people, avoided by people, because people consider him a makhluk asing or a demon, isn't it? So he had to look around for food and live a miserable life. So you see, on one hand, the honest farmer lived happily and peacefully, right? Whereas the other person who was greedy and also a thief or burglar had to live a miserable life. Shunned. Means avoided by people. So if you are shunned by people, terrible, people won't want to come near you. So you are living alone like that. So it'll be very terrible, isn't it? So that's the story. I hope you follow. Right? Of course, the picture I searched and got the picture and did some editing and so on. Right? Not my drawing lah. This one I got it. All right, and then actually I got the story from YouTube story. Then I had to, do certain things because the story was just, a person telling, and sometimes not good English, so I had to edit, right? And then the speech I had to change into proper sentences, and then make into the PowerPoint, and the pictures I had to take out, and then I did the pictures to put them together so that it's connected with each. So all in all, I think I spent more than 10 hours to do all these things, the presentation. But I was quite happy to do it because it conveys some important Dharma points which we will discuss. All right. So now we are going to go to the most important slide. As you can see, right, the most important slide is the last slide, slide number 13, which we will spend some time because that's the most important thing, right? Now, that is slide number 13. So we're going to look at slide number 13 now. There are 3 frames, right? I see I put the background picture, the magic pot. But if you look at the YouTube, there are so many versions of the magic pot. But this version concern the farmer in India. So it could be a farmer elsewhere also, and they change around. But the idea is the same, right? So I, took one of the pictures there of the story, and then make it what we call it a washout so that you can see the words. If I don't make it like blur like that, then you cannot see the words clearly, right? So we are going to look at these life lessons, or you can say moral lessons, or you can say Dharma lessons. So now let us look at 3 of the important lessons which I put into the frame. So let's look at the first one. This is the first one that we can learn and reflect on. A wise person is simple, honest, contented, and peaceful. Now, there are many points here which are very important in terms of Dharma. Now, if you say, is a person wise? It's a very important. A wise person doesn't mean that person studies in the university and gets degrees, but he may be a terrorist. It's not wise, isn't it? Being clever and being wise is not the same, you know. A wise person knows what is good, what is bad, what he should do, what he should not do, and they have many virtues and qualities like honesty, responsibility, metta, and all those things. So if you have wisdom, you will have these good qualities. That's true wisdom. So here you have the farmer. He might not have gone to the university, but he was wise because he got good virtues. He was helpful. It's a simple living. He was not, corrupted. As today, you find a person studying at the university can be corrupted. Is he wise? He's not wise, really. He's greedy, actually. He's foolish, actually, because he does wrong actions. So you find the difference between the wise person and the fool, So this person, the farmer, is wise. He lives a simple life, and very important, he's honest. He has good morality, you can say. Good morality. And he's contented, not greedy. People who are not contented, they can be very greedy. After getting 1 million, say, oh, not enough, I become a billionaire. And then he thinks that, oh, I must I must do corrupted things to get the money first. So today you have so many people cheating, scam, and then all those wrong actions that cause people to suffer. So this is the opposite. A contented person, he has enough to sustain his living, enough food, he has a house, simple house to stay in, right? He has clothes. He's quite peaceful and happy already. Whereas a person, a fool, he has a lot. He may be living in a big mansion, he owns 4-5 cars, Mercedes, Ferrari, and so on, and yet he's not very peaceful and happy. So you find the difference. So this farmer was a very honest and happy person, right? So that is this. So from here we know that if you want to live a meaningful life, right, then you must have virtues, good morality. And in Dharma teachings, it's so important for you to practice the precepts, isn't it? The 5 precepts. For ordinary people, you have to practice like no stealing, no killing, no sexual misconduct, no lying, and no taking intoxicants that make you mabuk or drunk. So these are very important things. So people who break all these moral rules, they generate bad karma. And this bad karma will have their vipaka. Vipaka will say the results and the consequences. You will suffer alone. After you will see one more slide like that. So now I want to emphasize these 4 points. A simple life will give you more peace. You don't have to have this, that, so many things. Simple life, you find that there are some people who live very simple life. It's quite peaceful and happy. I've seen this, for example, in Burma, I think, in Burma, even in India, right? Went to the countryside. So these people were very simple people. They have food. Their houses are just, like, wooden houses. And they are very, very peaceful, contented. Really was quite taken by their good qualities, honest and peaceful. Whereas you come across some maybe very wealthy people, I wouldn't say all wealthy people, some very wealthy people, but they don't display the good qualities of these people who are simple, contented, honest, virtuous, helpful, right? So you find the difference that you will see that. So when you choose your friends, you have to be careful. You don't choose friends and say, oh, because he's very rich, or because he drives a big car, or he has a very handsome or beautiful face. So you should choose based on the qualities and the character. These are the important things. Otherwise, one day you regret. Your so-called friends will stab you in the back. They will cheat you. And when you don't have the money and so on, they run away already. They are not friends indeed. A friend in need is a friend indeed, I can say, right? But they are not like that. They don't follow that. So that is a very important point. And of these qualities here, you know very well that honesty is very important. Today, many people are not honest. They cheat, they steal, they rob, they scam, they con you, isn't it? So they be very careful. Even now so many scams on the mobile phones and things like that. People are not honest. Whereas the olden days, I remember, it was a simple life, right? And we had a very simple childhood, right? You go around by taking the bus or cycle, but it was relatively safer. There was no such thing as a mobile phone or the computer, things like that. But today, people have abused. It's nothing wrong with the technology, but it's the people are spoiled by this. So you have to use all these gadgets all wisely. Like now, we are using technology in order to teach you this good value, isn't it? So now let us look at the next one, which is here. Do not be jealous of others. Do not be greedy. You find there are these three mental poisons, we call it, the defilements that cause the suffering. And what are these three mental poisons that cause suffering? I think I've mentioned many times, but because this is directed at the children in Sunday school, primary school children, so they might not remember or know. There are three things. One is greed, tamak. Do not be greedy. And the other one is do not be hateful. That means always getting angry easily. Right? And you hate other people. And then also jealous of other people. Right? And then you have ill will and you make enemies of other people. That is the second mental poison. In Pali, it's called dosa. The first one, greed, always wanting this thing, wanting that thing, and then will steal other people's things is even worse, right? That is loba. So you find these two mental poisons will bring you suffering one. That means greed and hate or hatred or anger. Use simple words, greed and then anger or hatred. They will definitely bring you suffering. Some people say, I go and churi people's, mangoes or from the neighbors' trees and so on. I can eat and enjoy it, and they don't know. That is a wrong action. You are greedy and you steal. And then one day you are caught, then you suffer. You may end up in jail even. And then even if you escape, you must understand you have done the wrong action, bad karma, then the next life you will suffer for it. So, do not be jealous of others. So you find this story, the character that was very jealous was the neighbor of this honest farmer, correct? He was very jealous when he found that his neighbor seemed to be getting richer. Not really lavishly rich, driving no cars at the time, but it was just that his clothes were now better, and then he had more food, and then which he also helped other people. He didn't see the good things. He was just jealous. He was just jealous of the person having better clothes and more food and so on. So that was not a good quality. So this jealousy will generate in you, in your mind, a state of ill will. That means you are not really having metta towards the person or loving kindness. So jealousy is connected with dosa. Dosa would mean anger, ill will, aversion, hatred. So these are not good qualities, right? So these of the three mental poisons actually here mentioned the jealousy, which is connected with the anger and hatred. And then the other one is greed. Greed, tamak, right? Is connected with attachment, covetousness. You want other people's things. In this case here, you could see that because of his greed, he wanted to be rich, so he was greedy to the that drove him to steal, isn't it? That drove him to steal. So you find you have to wonder on this and never have these sort of qualities. Greed, jealousy, anger, hate. And the third one is actually delusion. Delusion is actually like, you can say, not knowing the wise things of what is right and what is wrong. And then also always thinking of yourself, the ego there, right? That is being deluded. That means you are not really seeing the true things of life, the good things and so on. You are just more concerned of what you can get for yourself to please your ego self. That one is a bit more difficult. That's the delusion, right? And in Mandarin, they call it Wu Ming. No, 贪嗔痴, 贪嗔痴. And it's connected with the Wu Ming, ignorance. You don't know the real Dharma. So you become very proud, selfish, self-centered. That is 贪嗔痴, the third one. So that is this uh, second set of the lessons that you have to learn. So, of course, here you can't ask the question because it is not in a real life situation, but on the virtual space. But in case if you have questions, you can always WhatsApp me, or even if you know how to use Facebook, you can message me and I can try to answer your questions, right? But this story is a very, very simple story. But the lessons, even though, appear very simple, they are very, very important, right? Now let's look at the third one. Actually, third one, we have to emphasize stealing. Now, you know very well the five precepts, isn't it? The first one is no killing, pusatsen. The second one is no stealing or taking what is not given to you, taking things that belong to other people, not given to you. That is also breaking the precept, the second precept of stealing. And the third one is sexual misconduct. The third one, sexual misconduct. For example, people who are married already will steal other people's wives or want other people's wives and then have affairs with other people's husbands also for the ladies. That is wrong sexual misconduct. But nowadays you hear so many rape cases. That of course is also wrong, isn't it? You're forcefully having sex with other people, isn't it? Right? So that's the third one. The fourth one is regard to the speech, no lying, right? No lying. Actually, the fourth precept extends from the no lying. It should be four aspects. So one is no lying. The second is no tale carrying or no slander. That means to talk bad about other people, right? And you use divisive speech and cause other people to quarrel. You slander, you say, this fellow said bad about you, and then you tell the other fellow, fellow said bad about you, then you are like batu api. That is a wrong speech. And the third of the right speech, the third one, the first one, usually you chant in the precept, no lying. So the third one is no harsh speech, using rough words, bad words, or words that can hurt other people. That is wrong. Right? And the fourth of the right speech is no gossiping. Gossip means you don't waste your time talking about non-beneficial things. And then eventually you find you will lead on to spreading rumors, causing trouble. You go and gossip here, gossip there. You might as well you should use your time more constructively, isn't it? Maybe you can share the Dharma with people that will be more fruitful, isn't it? So that is the fourth precept. The fifth one is no intoxicants. That means do not take the liquor that make you mumble and do stupid things or foolish things that break the other precepts, or taking drugs even worse, right? So I think you know this very well. So now come back to the stealing itself. Why is stealing a wrong action? Now you just reason out and see. Do you want people to steal your things? If people were to steal your possessions, right? Maybe certain things in your house, right? Your electronic things, your mobile phone, your computer. Are you very happy? Surely you wouldn't want people, you'll be very, very sad and angry even. So likewise also, you should not steal other people's things. Actually, basic principle is that you must not do something that causes another person to be unhappy or to be harmed or hurt. So you steal from another person, you're making the person unhappy, and that is a wrong thing. You're hurting him. And Confucius said, do unto others what you want others do unto you. That means if you don't want others to do the things to you, then you should not do the same things to them, just like killing or stealing, isn't it? Or scolding a person. You wouldn't want people to scold you until you feel so terrible. So likewise, you should not scold her. So this stealing is definitely wrong. And there are so many forms, like today, you find so many people cheat, scam, and then you have all the various corrupted practices that people, get money in the wrong ways, cheat you. Business, politicians, or so many types of people even bluff and then cheat you. That is a wrong action. And this wrong action will have consequences. Of course, if you get caught by the law, why you get corruption, for example, can be a very serious thing, can be sentenced to 10, 20 years in jail or something like that, But let's say some people escape and say, no, I don't know, I escape, right? I've stolen or this person's property or money and so on, but then he escaped. But then what about the next life? We know that after we pass away, we still get reborn, you see. So if you commit the bad karma of stealing, then the consequence can happen in the not just next life, but future lives also. And in the Buddha's teaching, he stated, people, there was one young man that asked a Brahmin, that asked the Buddha, why some people are born so very, very poor, wretched, can't even find food to eat, whereas others are born into rich families and so on. And the Buddha explained this thing of stealing or not helping people in dana and so on can result in the future lives in poverty. That means you are born into a very, very poor state. So you find that when you break this precept, definitely there is a consequence, there's a result. And the result not only happens in this life itself, in future lives also. So that's why you take the precepts, right, of not stealing. I think you know in Pali, you chant, first one, no killing, panati pata, veramani, sikha, padang, samadhiyami, adina, dana, veramani, sikha, padang, and so on. You chant all these things, but then you chant, do you think about them, right? The wrong actions, and that you have to make that strong resolution not to commit these wrong actions. So in this story here, it's just a story, but it's a very good lesson in the sense that this wrong action of stealing was done by the neighbor of the farmer. He took the thing that did not belong to him. So even the consequence was quite immediate, only to wait until you die. You find that the consequence was so terrible that it became like a demon, and it was chased away and shunned by people. So the consequence is just there so very, very fast. So if you commit the act of stealing, definitely there will be dukkha. Dukkha means suffering, matter of time. In the world, if you are caught by the law, you will suffer, and then in future lives, you will suffer. So make sure you don't breach this precept of stealing. Some people will take other people's, students are like to take other people's pencils lah, eraser lah, and some even steal more expensive things, the watches lah, or even the mobile phone. Terrible. Never do this wrong action of taking things that do not belong to you, because they will have consequences, bad consequences. So these are the life lessons we learn from this presentation. So I hope you have learned important Dharma also from this story, and you can share with your friends, which is a meritorious action. You share it not to sell anything, but just to share freely for the benefit of the people. Now, before we say sadhu 3 times, I would like to thank you all, boys and girls, students of Buddhist Sunday school, or youth members, our parents, grandparents are watching in order to also teach their children or grandchildren. So I say thank you and sadhu to all of you who have been following, because you have taken the time to follow this more than an hour presentation, and also you have expended the energy, you have trained your mind to concentrate and be mindful. So sadhu to all of you. So now let us hold our palms together and say sadhu 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. To all of you who have been following the presentation, may you all be well, happy, peaceful, healthy, and may you always learn and practice the Dharma. All right, take care.